The Colossus finds itself in trouble when it arrives at a mysterious rendezvous point. Let's talk this week's episode of Star Wars Resistance.
How you get so big that you hold of this kind?
Hello and welcome in. I'm excited to talk to you guys about Resistance this week. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the episode, you have been warned. I gotta be honest, I think this might be my favorite episode in the series to date. You know, you still have the episodes that were action-packed start to finish, like the second episode of this season. You have cool Force-related ones like last week. You have heartfelt ones like the Bebo one in the first season. But this episode had a little bit of everything, and I really dug it, and it paid off some things that I was really hoping were going to happen. When we got the trailer, there was a mysterious woman in it. We didn't know who she was. There had been some reference a ways back when the Star Wars Women of the Galaxy book was released, because Tora has a page in there, and her page mentioned how her mother was a rebellion pilot, and that's how she met Captain Doza, and that we already knew from the first season that Captain Doza is a former Imperial, so there was this story, there was all this background on the Dosa family that I was really hoping was going to pay off. And if you've been watching these reviews as we've gone, you know that the Doza family is one of my favorite things ever. I love the relationship between Captain Doza, Emmanuel Doza, and Tora Doza. And so getting a Doza-centric episode was just everything I could have wanted. And the new character of Vanessa is now, like, my favorite. I love her, and it all paid off. She was Tora's mom. This episode went perfectly. Like, I love that we come out in the middle of a fight. Anytime we get a story anywhere in Star Wars, or I feel this way about things outside of Star Wars too, that starts in the middle of a fight or in the middle of things going on, it really makes me excited. The term is in media res, which is Latin. It means literally in the middle of things. It's a storytelling technique, and it's a storytelling technique that I'm a sucker for. I love coming out in the middle of a thing and not knowing what's going on, and you have to figure out what's going on as you watch the episode. You know, we've been going for weeks now of like, where's the First Order? Where's the First Order? And then we just start in the fight. We don't get to find out how they found them till later in the episode, when we find out that Captain Doza, for reasons unknown, took the Colossus to a rendezvous point, activated a beacon, and that beacon is how the First Order found them. Of course, we would later find out that he was trying to rendezvous with his wife so that they could celebrate Tora's birthday, which is absolutely sweet, but also absolutely dangerous. And it shows you just how important something like this must be for the usually overly cautious Captain Doza to go out and do this sort of thing. The way the first scene is constructed, the opening scene is constructed, is absolutely well done. You have all of the pilots flying around, and they're like, can we get out of here? Can we go? Why are we still fighting? And all we hear from Doza is that we can't go, can't go, can't go. And then Kaz tries talking to Yeager, and Yeager tries talking to Doza, and it's not working, and it's only when Tora says, hey, it's okay, we should go, that they leave. Of course, in true story fashion, as soon as they leave, the person they were waiting for shows up, and she falls into the hands of the First Order with absolutely nobody there to help her. This is continued when Tora is hanging out in the Aces Lounge and everyone's mad. Now, why exactly they talk trash about Captain Dosa in front of Tora to begin with, I don't know. Kaz is trying to stick up for the captain, and Tora eventually gets fed up and marches out. It's at this point that you know something really serious is happening for Tora to be that upset. I mean, she's fiery anyway, but she's not usually that mad at her friends. She does try to play the consoler at times, and so you know something's up. Then you have Kaz talking to Niku, and Kaz is like, I've never seen Tora that upset before. And Niku's like, well, you know, the Doza family's always weird on this day every 6 years, which is such a Niku thing to notice. I mean, anybody else, you'd be like, you know, sometimes they get fussy, like maybe, but Niku would be the guy who would note, you know, every day for 6 years, they get weird, now that you mention it. And this was a fun thing, because if you've been following along with our Bloodline book club reading, Bloodline is 6 years before this TV show. We're reading about the formation of the First Order as well as the Resistance in that book. So it's kind of cool that this connection should happen, and it's always fun anytime you see media so obviously referencing something else. But Kaz puts two and two together, realizes this is 6 years ago as the start of the Resistance, and in true Kaz fashion, barges in on like an emotional family moment, And Yeager's there because he's in on what's going on. And Kaz is like, dude, did you forget? I work for the Resistance, like, let me help you. And Tora has this moment of confessing that her mom is a Resistance pilot, which is probably something she doesn't get to say very often. I really like the scene with Kaz and Yeager in the elevator because, again, there's so much being conveyed there. You see this deep history that Yeager has with Doza and the Dosa family, this deep history that Yeager has that I would love to see told in a story somewhere on some other date. Yeager's like, yeah, Tora's mom was a rebellion pilot, and Kaz remembers that Captain Doza used to be in the Empire, and so you have this love story where she brought him back, or brought him into the rebellion out of the Empire, but then you have the onslaught of war again. Captain Doza doesn't want to go to war again, he wants to kind of stay out of the fight, but Vanessa can't do that. It would have been so easy here to have made this conflict that the two of them were no longer together in a marriage. In fact, that was what my gut instinct was going to be, because it's something we've seen before. We've seen it in Aftermath books. We've seen it in Star Wars tales throughout time. The idea that you have two people who are together, one person has to go out and fight a war while the other person has to stay and take care of things, take care of family, take care of whatever. I mean, you even see it with Revan and Bastila in Revan's tale that gets spelled out in the Old Republic Revan novel. You know, there's always that one person who just can't settle down and take care of things. He has to go out and fight. But what is happening here is a couple of things that I really appreciated. One, it does not seem to be something that has made them fall out of love with each other. I mean, Captain Doza is looking back on the recording at the end. They're having a good conversation and not an argument in that recording. Vanessa refers to Captain Doza as her husband, not her ex-husband or anything else. Like, they seem to be still in this healthy relationship, even though they can only see each other once a year, which must just be terrible. It's not unlike what military families have to deal with anyway. But to see this be healthy and viable was so nice, and something I really appreciated. And just to flip it, that it's the mom who has to go out because she can't sit back and not fight, and it's the dad who stays back and takes care of the kid, but also is running the whole Colossus. It's not like Captain Doza isn't doing anything, and surely the Colossus wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for somebody of his experience level, so his choice is still rewarded because he still gets to be a part of everything that's going on. You know, the way he would console Tora when she was younger, of maybe the galaxy needs your mother more than we need her, and then Tora uses that back on her dad, not in a cruel way, but in a kind way, where they're consoling each other and saying that they still have each other. It's so much in Star Wars is about dysfunctional families, the Skywalker family being the prime example of a dysfunctional family. So much in Star Wars is about finding a found family, like friends coming together, but even then they're kind of a dysfunctional one at times. But it's so rare in Star Wars to see a family, not a found family, but like spouses and a child working things out and being happy. And usually when that does happen, you know, it's like the Bridger family where there's huge tragedy, and there could still be huge tragedy in this family. But I just think in a show that is for kids, to try to show them things and emulate things, showing, yes, rough families, bad families, families not always working out the way you want them to, which you see so much in Star Wars, and you see to a degree in this show the way the Fireball team has had complications, but then to also say, like, hey, look, here's a good family, and here's something you can aspire to be a part of, to whatever degree you have, even if it's when you're older. I don't know, I love the Dozas. I just really, really, really love the Dozas, and I was so energized by this episode to see the way things play out. But in this, I'm still only talking about half the episode. Then Vanessa she gets caught by the First Order. I loved everything of her interaction. Like, we get to see Tam again. We haven't seen Tam for a long time, and I really felt that. Like I said, as much as I wanted to see Tam these last couple of weeks, it's been good for the story that we haven't, because seeing Tam again made it so meaningful to understand that this time has passed. Even in the firefight at the beginning of the episode, I was worried because I couldn't see anyone's faces. I was like, is that Tam? Is that Jace? Is this going to be a big thing? Were they out in the fight? And we don't even really know if they were. To the extent that she doesn't say anything about it, I think maybe not, but we don't know. And so there was this tension, and then to see Tam again, and Tam instantly recognizes Vanessa to some degree. Now, whether that's because she had seen her over 6 years ago when she was much younger, whether that's, she never met her, but she just, looks like Tora, acts so much like Tora, that she feels some sort of connection there. She kind of becomes this other mother figure for Tam in a way that's something that becomes so important, because Tam is still surrounded by this first orderness, right? And we have Jace, and Jace is even like, maybe this resistance pilot was trying to get to the Colossus. What if Doza was lying to us the whole time and was always supporting the resistance, and he's so mad about it? And Tam is kind of like, Tam saw this mother figure in Agent Tyranny. She was lied to by Cash, she was lied to by this father figure of Yeager, and feeling so betrayed, she leaves her kind of parental father figure for this parental mother figure in Tyranny. And Tyranny is manipulating her and using her and lying to her. And she's starting to see that and starting to get an idea of that. In fact, Vanessa mentions the Hosnian Cataclysm. She references it. She says, blowing up planets isn't, the way to bring peace. And Jace is like, the New Republic is corrupt. So now we know that Tam probably knows about the Hosnian system. And that's got to be weighing on her. So here you have this figure that was so nice and helpful to her in speaking to her and to her problems, but she's supporting a group that caused the destruction of multiple planets. But now we get this other mother figure, somebody that Tam feels naturally drawn to, and as soon as they interact, she's not gruff to Tam, she's not mean to Tam, she's not condemning of Tam, but she's also not coddling to Tam. And she's talking to her like, do you really know why you're here? But really, do you know why you're here? But really, what are these hopes and dreams the First Order is helping you with anyway? And as soon as she recognizes Tam, she probably recognized Tam in the hallway, she starts talking to her and uses her name, which catches her off guard. I really like seeing that relationship in this kind of like actual mother figure who's being a little bit, harsh isn't the right word, but she's being honest. She's saying, you're making a mistake and you need to go back to your friends, even though it's hard. But that versus the overly consuming but obviously manipulative relationship of Tyranny. And I really like this kind of good mom, bad mom relationship going on with Tam, especially because Tam is coming out of an environment where she's mostly had Yeager. And so Tam is looking for this thing that's been missing from her life and now kind of has these dual voices trying to give it to her. And I just really like seeing Vanessa trying to be everybody's mom. Like, she had to leave her family, and that's something that's hard for her, and she is a good mother, and we can see that because she's being motherly to Tam. She's even being motherly to Jace. When Jace can't shoot Tam, she's like, there's still hope for you because you can't do it. Like, this is good. And she's also very gruff and is like, oh, he's not the brightest star in the system. And I really liked her attitude overall, but just the way she's always kind of talking to Tam and must be aware that she's one of Tora's friends, and to want Tam to go back to them, I think was a very important thing. I also love the character of Torch. I think Torch might actually be my new favorite droid now. I loved his clear dome. I remember when having computers that were see-through was like the coolest thing, and all my friends who built computers would have like see-through towers so you could like see the parts inside. It's just this idea of, maybe she's really proud of this droid that she's probably constructed and reconstructed over and over again, to the point where she wants to show that part off. I love how they are always like, oh, this is like that time on this planet, or this is like that time on this planet, and they have these really grand schemes. It's kind of this is like Budapest all over again kind of a thing. I love how she's always blaming him, like, no, this is your job to do a thing. Like, that's just their whole dynamic was really great. I loved their plan, how, they made it look like they were going for a TIE fighter, but really they weren't, so then when the TIE fighter blew up, it was a distraction so that she could actually get out on her X-Wing. Like, all of that was really great. But I also love how much of her we can see in Tora. I was mentioning before the through lines with Tora, and I really like that scene where Tora is about to sneak off and go help her mother, Kaz shows up, and again the show is doing some things here that could have been, or not doing some things here that could have been really easy that you see in every other show ever, where Kaz doesn't try to stop Tora. He doesn't say, hey, it's too dangerous, you can't go, we don't even know where she is, you can't take over a First Order ship all by yourself. He's like, hey, I'll go with you. Like, he's not being the do as I say, not as I do, big brother. He's like, no, let's go. I would do anything for my family, so I understand, let's go together. And I think there's two things going on here. One, I hope we get to see this play out. We have met Kaz's dad. I would be really surprised if we never see Kaz's family over the course of the series because of that. But I think he also probably wants to go because he probably wants to go looking for Tam. But I like that we see that in Kaz, and I like that Kaz's offer to go wakes Tora up that going is probably a bad idea. In fact, Tora even says, you know, to be honest, my mom probably doesn't even need my help. Like, she can get herself out. And we see that she can, that she doesn't need Tora's help to get out. She's got everything under control. This is when Tora opens up that she just really wants to see her mom, and that it's her birthday, and there's this tradition to always go see her mom on her birthday. This also made me feel good because I don't like it when younger characters, and Tora is younger, she's a teenager, get away with going into danger and then it's like rewarded when they really didn't need to. At the end of the day, Tora's mom is a perfectly capable pilot, and they don't know that she is even taken by the First Order. They don't even know where she is. Tora flying back out there would just get Tora in more danger and cause her mom to then have to rescue Tora instead of doing what her mom is doing. So I thought it was a very good mature turn in the show, and a good mature tone in Tora to go, you know, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust that my mom can take care of herself. I'm instead going to open up about what I'm really feeling to my friend and kind of have this moment. And I really appreciated it because overly precocious kids in Star Wars kind of bother me, and it was just kind of a relief to see Tora not have that. That Tora can have this much more mature personality to say, I'm gonna trust my mom. But it also goes into how the Dozas are currently my favorite family in all of Star Wars because they're all amazing. But then at the end of the episode, Kaz throws a surprise party for Tora with the Aces. You see Tora has this found family around her, that not only is she a part of this amazing direct family, immediate family, but she has this found family in the Aces, and even though she is a teenager, they really accept her and bring her into the group. And I appreciated every part of that. And then also towards the end, Vanessa says one kind of final parting thing to Tam, which is Yeager must miss you too. That he looked at you as a daughter, and he's already lost one daughter, and it would hurt him to lose another one. And Tam very rightly says, you know, he shouldn't have lied to me. And she says, we all make mistakes that we have to live with. I'm really looking forward to the eventual time that Tam must get, like she has to get, to work things out with Yeager and Kaz. And whether she decides to fully forgive Yeager or not, just to kind of see them have this moment. We've already seen Yeager have that moment with his brother in the first season, when we learn how Yeager lost his family, and that they're working through that. Even though they're not good yet, they're better. I think we could see kind of a mirror to that with Tam saying, okay, Yeager, we're not good, but we're better. It's really this kind of cavalier wisdom that comes from Vanessa that I love. This kind of blunt, I'm not gonna coddle you, but I'm not gonna mince words. This, yeah, Yeager screwed up. Yeah, Yeager hurt you. We all hurt people. We all hurt each other. Tam has hurt her friends now after they hurt her first. I don't know. I like the way the show is dealing with these big things. Other little fun things. There were so many insights. The planets that Vanessa mentions with Torch. Bakura is a Legends planet from the book Truce of Bakura. It's also been mentioned recently in the promos for like the Rise of the Resistance ride, implying that the Resistance seems to have a base on Bakura, which is a really cool Legends deep cut. She also mentions the planet of Lehan. I think she pronounces it a little bit differently, but that is a planet from the first KOTOR game. It was actually just called Rakata Prime in KOTOR 1, and then later named as Lehan in the first Darth Bane book. So that was a really cool reference as well. So it was just, all in all, it was a fantastic episode. Yes, it had the action sequences. Maybe it wasn't the most action-packed episode we've seen, but it had some good action in it. We got to see Tam. We get to see this new character. We get to see the families interact. It was everything I could want in an episode. So those are my thoughts. Please leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of the episode. If you're not already, please follow us on all the socials. I am just loving talking about the show, and I always want to talk about this show, so please come and find me and talk to me about Resistance. And until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Cooking can be fun.